Professionalism, ethical codes, and public interest. We have to understand the difference between what is a profession and professionalism. What are the corporate ethics, the business ethics or the corporate ethics? We will be studying about that. Public interest and responsible leadership, professional codes of ethics. First, let's understand the meaning of profession, the meaning of professionalism. Profession, the characteristics are body of theory and skills. What kind of skills? Technical skills acquired by training and education, maintained by continuing professional development, CPD. Some say it is CPD, continuing professional development, continuing professional education is another term. Okay. Body of theory is theory and skills. Second characteristic is adherence to common code of values and conduct, established by adherence to common code of values. And so some uh, policies and procedures, some code of conduct would be decided. So who would decide? Within the organization, the administrative body, the strategic level, they do decide about what is the code of conduct. Then ethical standards applicable to all the members across the organization. We will study what are the ethical codes also. Then acceptance of a duty to society as a whole. So professions can be trusted to act in the public interest. Members are granted a qualification and use of the title. So tomorrow, when you write ACCA and you pass the exams of ACCA, you will also have a title. Okay, first you will become ACCA affiliate, and then the rest follows. So when the acceptance of a duty to society as a whole. So when the candidate acquires the professional qualification, the professions can be trusted to act in the public interest. Why would they be considered? See, a chartered accountant is known to take up the certain roles. So people do understand, yes, he's a chartered accountant. When did he prove his worth? See, the way the exams were conducted and he clearing the exams itself is an indication that he's able to manage things in a appropriate manner. A medical professional, how would anyone know that he can treat a patient? What knowledge does he have? What experience does he have? So first thing is that situation will be addressed in terms of see, the medical professional will have his own set of exams to be cleared. On clearing that, he's exhibiting he has the knowledge. So during the course of action, some professional training would have been given for you as ACCA candidate. What kind of an skill do you have? So skill in terms of decision making is what you will be um, exhibiting when the different certifications or when you attend certain programs, seminars, workshops, or sometimes the webinars that are conducted. See, in all these things, the required qualification or the required experience can be gained by the candidate. See, then they are given a title. So that title, a chartered accountant can take up any kind of those services which are prescribed. A doctor can provide some medical advices or some medical services can be provided. A lawyer can provide guidance in terms of that. So see, when there is a profession, professions can be trusted to act in the public interest. Then members are granted a qualification and use of a title. What does it mean by professionalism? See, profession versus professionalism. Professionalism is seen to be acting professionally. Profession is it's a body of theory and skills. That is profession. Then of course we see that then professionalism is the way in which the professional acts, or he's seen to be accepting professionally or literally having professionalism. Okay, just differentiate between what is professionalism, a state of mind where while the profession provides the rules that the members of the profession must follow. Okay, just learn that what is the differences between professional interest. The public interest can be defined as that which supports the good of a society as a whole. So we also see that the accountants and the public interest, accountants do not generally act against the public interest. So they also generally, the public is also one stakeholder. The general public is also one stakeholder. So they also have to act in the best interest of the general public. Okay. So we see that accountants do not generally act against the public interest. The ethical code applicable to most accountants confirms that such action is not normally appropriate. So they have to act in the best interest of the public also. Then accountants should also be responsible leaders. One thing what see, tomorrow when you join the organization with this qualification, after you join the organization with this qualification, what is expected of you? The title of your job profile can be anything. It could be anything as management accountant, assistant manager, advisor to the CEO, performance manager, performance management expert. See, the title could be anything, but with this qualification, you would be taken into the organization to play multiple roles in terms of have the required knowledge in all areas. See, some concept called as um, see, if somebody is a jack of all, he would be master of none. But the expectation comes here from the candidate would be that he would actually have to become a master of all, should have a knowledge about multiple aspects, the new things, the innovation, the changes in the accounting framework, etc. The way the new methods and techniques would benefit the organization. Apart from, so the accountant, the management accountant always has this responsibility of um, analyzing and interpreting the information. Apart from that, knowledge about various innovative things that have come up, he has to have a knowledge about marketing strategies, the pricing strategies, has to have a knowledge about multiple aspects. The technological changes, so when changes are happening, so has to have an update about the technological changes, etc. So here the person also should become see uh, to act in the best interest of the general public. Okay, has to have the professional attitude, should act in the best interest of the public, should become a responsible leader. Okay, so these are the attributes what are looked at in from an accountant. So very general, please read through these things. We will go for a break now and then understand what are the corporate codes of ethics. Okay, we will be learning about the corporate codes of ethics, different corporate codes of ethics, and then professional codes of ethics, learn the meaning of it, because one area which would be tested in the examination is about the ethical principles. So that's very important. We need to have a knowledge about these things, and we'll proceed further with the other topics after the break. Let's go for a break for 5 minutes. Now, in my laptop, the time is 10:28. We'll gather back at 10:33. Okay. Let's now continue with the next topic, corporate codes of ethics. Corporate ethics relates to the application of the ethical values to the business behavior. Do you know any ethical value which you've studied? Did you study any time business ethics? Did you study this topic at any point of time? Any time did you study? Just no, only two answers are there. Did you study or you didn't? Any one of you, please answer. Did you study or you didn't? Okay, you studied. So you are aware of that. Very good. Good. So we know that integrity first thing is about, so I'm not explaining in detail. Let's just see that what is the ethical the principles of business ethics. The first one, integrity, to do what is right in all situations. So whether it is under observation or not, in all situations, doing what is right, being straightforward and honest in all professional business relationships is integrity. Objectivity is without being biased, unbiasedly taking decisions is objectivity. Professional competence is what skills are required to be acquired by a person, has to be acquired, and then also to look into updating their skills so that the work can be carried out. That's about the competency, professional competence and due care. So it is a responsibility of the individual. So the organization also do provide some uh, um, training or some measures are taken to enhance their skill, but nevertheless it is the individual has to ensure that duty to maintain professional knowledge and skill at an appropriate level so that the work can be carried out. Confidentiality talks about what has to uh, be not disclosed, has is not supposed to be disclosed to anyone except that it is required by the law. In that situation they have to disclose, but otherwise it what is confidential has to be maintained confidentially. It cannot be shared on account of providing benefit to some stakeholder. It could be sometimes to their friends or family, for them to be benefited some information if it is shared, so then the confidentiality would be lost. So confidentiality. Professional behavior, members must comply with all the relevant laws and rules and regulations have to be followed. So that will be about the professional behavior. See the professional codes of ethics. So you have learned, I do not know which paper you've learned. So you have learned about that. Now, the corporate codes of ethics. The corporate ethics relates to the application of ethical values to business behavior. Key areas included in a code of corporate ethics. It will be about what is the purpose and value of the business, the different stakeholder with whom they are having a relationship. So applying of these ethical values in terms of dealing with the stakeholders. So corporate codes of ethics. Then corporate codes of ethics, what are the benefits and drawbacks? See, generally when ethical values are followed, see in that case, the stakeholders confidence on them or their relationship with the stakeholders will improve, because they know what is supposed to be followed and they follow that. Okay, then the reputation would not get affected. They can carry on with the activity smoothly. Many high caliber candidates get attracted to the organization, to be with the organization, to be associated with the organization. The turnover reduces. See, because they follow the code of ethics. The benefits are, it says that it provides a framework for whenever there is a conflict resolution. So we will be also looking into the conflict resolution part of it. See, whenever there is a conflict, how is that conflict resolved? There will be a framework already present. Generally, how are the conflicts within the organization resolved? Will be whenever there is a conflict with another individual or a group in the organization, it has to be first to talk to them and then try to resolve it. But if it doesn't get resolved, if the conflict still remains, then it has to be escalated to the next senior level or the superior. It has to be escalated. But let's say if the conflict itself is with the superior, then it has to be escalated to the next level superior, and it has to be escalated until it reaches the CEO if it doesn't get resolved anytime in between. At no given point of time, they can directly approach others, approach the court of law or a tribunal or anything. But first, try to resolve within the organization. After that, they can, if it doesn't get resolved, they can approach the tribunals of the court of law. Straight away approaching them would not be appropriate. They cannot disclose these details to the third parties like media, etc. They are not allowed to that. So what has to be done? They have to first try to resolve it, refer to the framework which is already prescribed. That is, there would be some policies and procedures in place in situations where there are conflicts. How would they deal with that? So when there is a the corporate code of ethics which are already defined and described and communicated, so it would be followed in that particular manner. Provides a framework for conflict resolution, provides guidelines for similar ethical disputes and methods of resolution. Okay, in because they have this code of conduct or code of ethical principles, then it becomes easy for them to resolve it because guidelines are already there. Provides boundaries across which it is ethically incorrect to pass. Drawbacks are, it is only a code, may not fit the precise ethical issue. That is, again, maybe they have not anticipated such a scenario to happen in future. Therefore, there was no such thing which was included into the guidelines. Can be interpreted in different ways. Loopholes are always possible to be found, and then they can take advantage of the loopholes. Can be interpreted in different ways, which may appear ethically incorrect to two different people. Maybe no clear or effective punishment for breaching the code. We understood about what are the professional codes of ethics. Then what are conflicts of interest? Conflicts of interest, yesterday also we have learned in context of internal auditor, what are the threats to the auditor's independence. In that context, we've learned about, maybe he's looking at his self-interest, that he would be benefited in that particular situation. Self-review, maybe by giving an opinion about that, he can be, he can come into the limelight because maybe in some way he's also associated with that particular issue. Advocacy, maybe recommending someone in favor of biased attitude. Okay, so if familiarity is there with one of the parties, then in that case the decision would be biased. Intimidation, maybe they fear the threat of some action taken against them. They feel intimidated and do not give a unbiased opinion. So these are the potential threats which may lead to conflicts of interest and lack of independence. Are the same points we've learned, but that we've learned under the context of internal audit or internal auditor. Now, ethical threats and safeguards. An ethical threat is a situation where a person or corporation is tempted not to follow their code of ethics. That's an ethical threat. How to safeguard it? An ethical safeguard provides guidance or a course of action which attempts to remove the ethical threat. So some framework should be there to deal with such situation. Okay. Then we have something called as corruption and bribery. What are the code of principles in terms of corruption and bribery? Any payment that is made to get any benefit for their business is considered to be as bribery. Corruption is bribery, and any other behavior in relation to persons entrusted with responsibilities in public or private, which violates their duties and is aimed at obtaining some undue advantage of any kind for themselves or for others. That's referred to as bribery. They are prohibited from giving bribe. So they are prohibited from giving bribes. To whom should it not be given? Okay, that again, of course, it's not part of our syllabus, but then um, Foreign Corruption Practices Act (FCPA). So it talks about anti-bribery provisions where bribery should not be given. To whom should it not be given? So any political party or members of a political party. So there are a list of things which are mentioned about whom should it not be given so that they can get some undue advantage out of this payment, either in form of cash kind or anything. To in relation to the persons entrusted with the responsibilities in the public or private sector, which violates their duties and is aimed at obtaining. So anyone in the public or the private sector to whom any amount which is paid to receive any kind of an undue advantage for their business or for someone else's business is called as bribery, and that is prohibited. Okay, examples are bribery, including excessive hospitality, facilitation payments, buying votes, illicit payments to political parties, misappropriation of public funds. See, to the political parties, to the members of the political parties, should not be given. Okay, but see, anti-bribery provisions of FCPA Act is silent about making payments to um, the to other businesses or officers. See, that kind of thing, it is silent, it's not very clearly given, but overall in general, we when we understand that anyone in the public or the private sector to whom some amount is paid to get some undue advantage is referred to as corruption and bribery, and that is prohibited. So there are provisions in different acts which talk about not providing any additional facilities or amount or benefits or facilitations or facilities, that is not appropriate. Okay, why is corruption wrong? The question about why is corruption wrong, see, when you are learning these kind of things, the ethical aspects of it, it will be tested. Generally there is um, I mean, um, we observe from the question papers that at least one part of it, one section of it will be touching upon the bribery part of it. See, that someone is paying something to someone, or uh, some kind of an unethical behavior which is not appropriate. So some issue would be raised, and then you are asked to comment upon that. You are asked to identify what problems arise, or you are to give a critical review about that, or you have to give some suggestion about what should be appropriately done. Such kind of questions will be associated with the case study. So you have to have a clear idea, because whether the candidate is ethically sound or not will be tested. Now that has to be known, of whether the candidate fits into that framework or not, that has to be tested. So how would, because in one interview you will not prove your personality, your traits, etc. So the examination will take care of whether you are ethically sound. So you don't give all fancy answers, but understand about what are the ethical principles and how do you apply those ethical principles in those situations, in those context, in that context, how do you apply that? So have an idea, understanding about how to address different situations which involve ethical values. Okay, so please be clear about that. This is one another important area where it can be tested. um, Very great chances, likely chances are that it would be tested in the examination. Okay, why is corruption wrong? See, the ethical argument is it is a misuse of power and position and has a disproportionate impact on the poor and the disadvantaged. It undermines the integrity of all involved and damages the fabric of the organization to which they belong. So why is it wrong? So when you are talking about that, see what kind of impact it has on the underprivileged, on the poor and the disadvantaged. Then see what is the value system of the organization and how does it get affected. You should also talk about that. It undermines the integrity of all involved and damages the fabric of the organization to which they belong. um, Something to do with ethics. See, generally, when you when you answer a case study, always you have to have the objective very well remember. See, because when the organizational objective is given, the primary objective, the secondary objective may have one area, one aspect of it is given about value system which they follow or what do they believe in. Something would be there. It is not always about profit maximization. See, it can be justified if it is only profit maximization to some extent. But if the organization believes in providing benefit to the different stakeholders, so if something is inappropriate, unethical practices are followed, there is corruption, there is bribery, then the sole purpose, the whole purpose would not be fulfilled. So should be able to connect it to the organizational objectives and present your answer. You have to present your answer. Your arguments should run through why is it appropriate, why is it not appropriate. So that way you have to take your answer. So why the ethical argument, so you should be able to talk about that by in being involved in bribery, corruption or something. See, the value system of the organization gets affected. Therefore, whoever is the person concerned with this particular activity, I think you should be able to talk about it as this is not appropriate or some course of action should be taken against that person. Then corruption and bribery, what's the business argument? The business argument is there would be legal risk. Most forms of corruption illegal. Then reputational risk, the financial cost, pressure to repeat offend, blackmail, impact on staff, impact on development. So these are the areas which you have to highlight. Conceptually know these things so that your argument against corruption and bribery in the examination will be effective. So what are the legal risks? See, if they are caught, they would be penalized heavily, penalized with some kind of penalties or fines. Okay, the most forms of corruption in many countries it is illegal. See, some of the countries maybe they may be silent, but we see that corruption and bribery is illegal in most of the country, very obviously stated also. So maybe in certain countries it may not have strict rules and regulations or punishments in those countries, but we understand that it is legal risk. They run into a legal risk if they are caught in the act of corruption or bribery. The reputation gets affected. See, once the reputation gets affected, then it's very difficult to rectify that situation and then um, get back to their normal business. So organizations who practice whose practices do not meet high ethical standards are exposed to reputational damage. Financial cost, see that is involving finances, so financial cost. So it adds to the cost of procurement, undermining business performance. So financial cost will increase. Once they are involved in paying bribery, the expectation would be that they will be expected to pay again and again and again. Once a bribery is paid, repeat demands are possible. There could be a blackmail, because once they are into that, security of staff and other assets are put at risk. Okay. Because today you have to ensure that their reputation is intact. So then again, somebody can bring upon them some pressure. Okay. It will have an impact on the staff, erodes staff loyalty, and makes recruitment and retention of quality personnel difficult. Okay. One important advantage of following the ethical values is that many prefer to become employees of such organizations where the value system is very high. See, for them at that point of time, it will not be important whether they are paid very high salaries as compared to the others. But generally, we tend to see that the employees choose the organizations with good value system rather than good pay. Okay. Some of them are known for their value system, so that is attracting high caliber staff. That is one advantage. If if the organization does not have that, the turnover will be very high. Then it makes recruitment and retention of quality personnel difficult. They do not like to be associated. When the reputation of the organization is affected, employees do not want to be associated with such organizations. So retaining them is difficult. The turnover is very high. Again, recruiting them, the whole process to happen, again, it is very difficult. Then there would be an impact on the development, undermines the world's social, economic, and environmental development. So there will be issues with that as well. Why should we study? This one is, your arguments should be very strong. See, after a while, after the class is over, after 1 hour, if you want to remember that, it's very, it would be great if you can remember at least 50% of the points. When we look at the slide, all of them are very general, all of them are easy. But unless and until we read, things do not get registered in our mind. Therefore, it is important that you read. There is not much of technical content in SBL. The syllabus is vast. That's the only issue which we have to take it up. Syllabus is extensively very vast, and many topics are covered. Most of them are general. See, it is about how a person can become a strong leader, a good leader. So that is what, in this process, many aspects are expected of the person to learn and know that. But we don't see much of the technical knowledge which is included. Of course, we do have certain new techniques and new methods which are discussed, that is there, but otherwise it is very general, but not at all difficult at all. But you have to remember many aspects. That's the only point what is difficult in SPL. Okay. Application of what is available in the study text to the situation is what has to be learned. Okay. I, without delivering the content, cannot jump onto doing the case study. So my effort is that as early as possible, that we can finish the content, so that at least 2 days exclusively we can spend time on doing the situational analysis. So applying these principles to the different case studies and try to arrive at the answer. So I can help you with certain techniques, certain tips can be given, so that you would do well in the ACCA exam and then clear that in the first attempt. So um, that is the agenda what I have. Let's see when we will be able to finish the content. Ethical behavior. So ethical behavior, what are the issues? Issue related factors, context related factors, and key contextual factors. The nature of the ethical issue or issue related factors, how important the decision is to the decision maker. The higher the intensity, the more likely it is that the decision maker will make an ethical rather than an unethical decision. So depending on what is the situation, what's the issue there, what importance does it have to the person? Depending on that, the decision would be about the choosing an ethical decision rather than an unethical decision. Context related factors, um, how a particular issue would be viewed within a certain context. So, is it applicable to that context? In that context, what is most applicable, suitable, etc. So, that is contextual. Key contextual factors are if there is a system of reward, authority, bureaucracy, work roles, organizational group norms and culture, and national and cultural context. So key contextual factors also would be taken into consideration to understand the ethical behavior. Okay. Um, I would also want to do a case study which involves ethical aspect of it.